Hello everybody, Logan Albright here, back with another book review, and today I want to talk about The Colorado Kid by Stephen King. Now I should start by saying that I'm not a huge Stephen King fan. I read a bunch of his books when I was a teenager, and some of them I liked and some of them I didn't like, but I got burned out on them, and after reading a few duds, particularly The Tommyknockers, which is a horrible book, I kind of resolved not to read him again. But I was recommended this book by a friend who said it was very different from his other writing and that I should check it out. So I did, and I really liked it. I should say before going further that this review, I don't really consider it spoilery because I don't think that there's much to spoil, but some people might consider it to have spoilers. So if you are bothered by that kind of thing, switch it off, go read the book, and come back later. It won't take you very long. I read the whole thing on one plane trip. It's like a little over 100 pages. You can get through it very quickly. It's designed to be read quickly. It's published for this imprint called Hard Case Crime, which is sort of an homage to old pulp fiction novels, old crime novels from the 30s and 40s. It reprints some old ones. It publishes some new ones, and this was one of the early ones to help Stephen King wrote it as a favor to the publishers in order to help get their publishing off the ground. It's a little different. It doesn't really feel like a 1930s pulp crime novel. It's a mystery. And it's sort of a commentary on the nature of mysteries and on what we like about them and what we don't like about them. And in that sense, it's a very different story because it's a mystery without a solution. Usually in mystery novels, the author goes to great lengths to set up an unsolvable mystery, and then at the very last chapter, they solve it, and everyone's like, wow, I can't believe they did that. Stephen King doesn't do that. He sets up a mystery that is not solvable and that doesn't get solved. And that's pretty interesting. Now, some people would find that immensely frustrating and think that the author is just being lazy and not actually putting the work in to come up with a solution. I don't think that's the case here. I think it's a deliberate commentary. Basically, the story is about a young woman who's interning for a newspaper up in this rural town in Maine. All of Stephen King's stories take place in Maine. That's where he's from. And he learned from his predecessors like H.P. Lovecraft and Nathaniel Hawthorne that New England is the scariest part of and the most mysterious part of the United States. So it's a good place to set things. But it takes place in this small island town in Maine, and it's this girl who's interning for these older newspaper writers, and they're discussing mysteries and unsolved crimes because a man from Boston had come up to try to compile a list of unsolved cases for a feature he was doing. And they have this unsolved case from the past, and they relate it to her, and she's fascinated by it. And it's a really interesting case, but there's, like in real life, there's not really a clear-cut answer, and you're invited to make up your own answer. I found that super interesting. Now, this book was originally published in 2005. This is a reprint edition with some illustrations in there, which is kind of nice. Like I said, it's a very quick read. King does a good job of setting the location up. He has kind of a little bit of dialect writing in the main characters, so you really feel like they have that Maine accent that you hear in like Pet Sematary and that movie and things like that. So that's a really good job of setting the scene, and he manages to set up a really intriguing mystery, something that's really bizarre and fascinating, and you kind of can't stop thinking about it. At least I couldn't stop thinking about it. And then at the end, when he doesn't tell you what happened, you're left with this worm wiggling around in your brain, trying to figure out, well, what actually did happen, and you'll think about it for weeks and weeks and weeks and try to figure it out. There are fan theories. I kind of try to deliberately avoid fan theories because I don't really want to be told, like I do this with a lot of books. I don't really want to be told the interpretation, and movies as well. If it's something where I feel like you're meant to interpret it yourself, I don't want to be locked in to someone else's interpretation. I want to come up with my own interpretation. So that's what I did here. I really didn't read much of the other fan theories. I have a couple of ideas of my own, which I won't really share here because I don't want to spoil it for other people for the same reason. I want them to come up with their own interpretations of it. But if you like mysteries and you're not bothered by the fact that not everything is clear-cut by the end of the book and that you're going to be left with some questions of your own, I think it's a really great read. And like I said, you can read it in one sitting. It's great for a plane trip or a train trip. It'll keep you on the edge of your seat, and it'll stick with you for a little while. So I think this is going to be my invitation to come back into Stephen King and read some of his more recent writing, because I think I stopped reading him probably around 1999 or 2000, and he's written a lot of things since then. I've heard good things about the Dark Tower series in particular. So if you have Stephen King books you'd like to recommend to me, feel free to leave that in the comments, and I'll check them out. And I'll review them for this channel, too. See what I do for you people? So that's The Colorado Kid. I would definitely recommend it for people who like pulp fiction, who like mysteries, who like Stephen King, and who have an ability to come to their own conclusions and not get drawn up with having to be told how things turn out by the author. I've been Logan Albright. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you'll like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time with another book review. Thanks.